been the apple of Europe. Innovative typewriters and some of the most advanced computers were once produced by the Italian company Olivetti. But today Olivetti has fallen into irrelevance, leaving this factory and many other sites in a state of decay. In this episode, we are taking a deep dive into the dramatic fall of Olivetti, which was marked by two mysterious accidents and even a possible involvement by the American CIA. The terrain is vast with multiple large buildings. Some remain intact while others have been ravaged by fire. We began at the old storage building of the facility, which, as you can see, has been already largely emptied. Still, the sheer scale of the structure is immense and quite impressive. Modern-looking halls flooded the old factory floors with natural light. Before heading to the next part, let's begin with some history of the Olivetti company. Olivetti was founded in 1908 in the northern Italian town of Ivrea by Camillo Olivetti. At the time, the company produced its first typewriter, the M1, which was nearly an exact replica of the American Underwood typewriter. Nonetheless, the company found success in Europe, slowly but steadily expanding its operations across Italy. However, the expansion was modest, with only around 23 machines being produced per week in the factory. As we entered the next building, it immediately became clear that a lot more equipment had been left behind. We got inside just in time. There still seemed to be some activity on the premises. Machines, a desk full of files, and even a computer were left behind. Upon closer inspection, it became evident that all of these were made by Olivetti. Though a fire had taken its toll throughout the building, this small workstation remained untouched. Beside it stood a large but mysterious machine. Characterized by several destroyed glass flasks. Upon examining the labels, we discovered that printer ink was manufactured here. Some black ink even remained. This illustrates the variety of products once manufactured at this facility, but we will dive deeper into that later. Next to the ink machine was a storage area, still packed with a ton of old printers.
Een mooie unboxing, Nick.
Unboxing. Kijk.
Spoelen. Zo, kijk, nu moet hij het doen.
Continuing through the halls became difficult due to fire damage, forcing us to backtrack and head to another section of the building. However, we had to remain cautious of the ongoing activity on the premises. We entered the next part of the facility, which appeared to be an office block. This office had suffered significant water damage, creating a unique scene, where nature had begun to invade the space. These kinds of scenes, where nature is reclaiming its place, are always striking. It's a reminder that nature will always win, given enough time. Camillo Olivetti had a son named Adriano, a visionary always seeking to reinvent processes. For instance, he despised the boring production lines of his father's factory and wanted to transform them. He created a philosophy where the company wasn't above the workers, but for the workers, with plenty of natural light and revolutionary benefits for the time, such as cultural services, housing, 9 months of maternity leave, and even a 50% salary increase compared to the rest of Italy at the time, which in turn fostered loyalty and a strong social environment around the company. By 1933, half of the typewriters sold in Italy were made by Olivetti. These innovative times came to an halt with the rise of Mussolini's fascist movement. Due to Adriano's involvement with the resistance, he was forced into exile in Switzerland. A bit further into the facility, the devastation caused by the fire became apparent. Large sections of the factory floor were destroyed, with parts of the roof collapsing. Climbing through a hole in the wall, we entered a decaying time capsule. Inside was a small medical bay, with even a stretcher still in place. Further along, we found a heavily decayed yet intact office, decorated entirely with Olivetti equipment. A true time capsule, frozen in time. We continued through the fire-ravaged section, where the heat had been so intense it melted steel products stored here.
Het lijken wel iets op PSC's. Hier heb je nog oude... Niks van over, jongen.
The construction of the facility was unique. With large concrete beams and glass accents, it was once the factory of the future, featuring vast indoor spaces surrounded by green zones outside. The area supported 10,000 jobs, all dedicated to producing electronics, that were seen as the future of Olivetti according to Adriano. The 1950s saw the rise of a new product line, including state-of-the-art typewriters designed by renowned designers, However, in Olivetti's research centers, something even more radical was underway. Mario Ciao, a Chinese-Italian engineer, worked alongside Adriano Olivetti to develop and pioneer early computers. In 1957, they introduced the Olivetti Elea, the first computer to use semiconductors, a component that remains essential to the devices you are using today. This innovation made the Elea the fastest computer ever built, even surpassing those made in the United States. These were bright times for Olivetti, with Italy positioned to become a global tech hub, the Silicon Valley of Europe. We are now in one of the production halls, where some parts of the facility have survived. Nature has taken its toll here. But some unused monitors still in the packaging have been left behind, likely never used. Our next stop was one of the most impressive parts of the factory. Here countless blueprints were stored, documenting every detail of the once revolutionary factory. Interestingly, these blueprints were housed in furniture also made by Olivetti, showcasing the wide range of products the company created at its peak. Olivetti wasn't just a technology company, it produced nearly everything related to the work in the office. Downstairs we reached what appeared to be an old workshop of the complex. Maintenance was centralized here to keep the many machines in working order. Although it was a bit of a mess, some interesting items were left behind.
Van Olivetti. Oh, dat is vet.
On the 27th of February 1960, Adriano Olivetti suffered a fatal stroke while traveling by train. With his passing, Olivetti lost its visionary leader, but Mario Ciao, who headed the electronic division, was still able to carry on the company's work. Until November 1961, when Mario was tragically killed in a sudden car crash. The loss of two of Olivetti's most important figures fueled conspiracies about their untimely passings, particularly involvement of the CIA. According to family members and others, Mario was allegedly killed because of Olivetti's success as a socially driven company and the possibility that the company might sell its computers to the Soviet Union. Although the CIA conducted extensive investigations into both Adriano and Mario, no conclusive proof ever emerged that they were assassinated. In 1964, the computer research lab, along with its innovations, was sold to the American company General Electric. This only strengthened the conspiracy, as Olivetti's groundbreaking work ended up in American hands. The reason behind the sale were due to several factors, including the Olivetti's family's more conservative vision, which viewed electronics as a niche market and believed typewriters were the main profit drivers. Another significant factor was the large investments made in the US in companies like IBM, while Italy's conservative-dominated politics focused on the past rather than the future, led to a lack of funding for innovation. In just a few years of poor decisions, Olivetti had gone from a key player in the tech industry to missing the future entirely. We reached the main assembly hall, which still had some scattered traces of its former activity, but was mostly empty.
Intel inside.
A lot of items were discarded in this section. But at the back, the old cafeteria still remains. Once a lively place filled with conversation, it is now a desolate hall. Meals were once prepared here for the employees, from the first course to the dessert. The courtyard in the middle is now overgrown, but a couple of pink flowers blooms. Olivetti's technology sector was entirely dead. Although Olivetti could no longer produce computers, they found a loophole. They could make something if they simply called it a calculator. In secret, engineers developed the sleek Olivetti Programma 101, the first personal computer that could be operated by everyday people. NASA even used it during the Apollo program, but after this the decline began. With insufficient funds for further innovation, American competitors had caught up and soon overtook Olivetti. In a small room, posters of products once made in this very hall were scattered around, all depicting some of Olivetti's later computer products. Floppy disks, also manufactured by Olivetti, had been tossed aside here as well. Our final goal was to head back to a corner of the burned out factory hall, into an office block.
Yeah.
When we entered, we found a damp and trashed office block. Strangely, the factory floor next door had been completely destroyed by the fire. Yet the office block remained untouched. How it escaped the fire remains a mystery. But that wasn't the reason why we came here. For what we are seeking, we have to go upstairs. We arrived at the former call center, and it was massive. A lot had been left behind, including personal belongings from the former employees. This was a true case of people abandoning everything in a hurry. The heat during the fire must have been intense, as all of the plastic devices had melted. Silence now dominates this once bustling call center. In the 1980s, Olivetti produced the M20, which became the company's last real success. Afterward, the typewriter market became obsolete, and Olivetti shrank year after year, unable to keep pace with the competition. By the early 2000s, the so-called Olivetti crisis took place, leading to the company being bought by Telecom Italia, which used the brand to produce cheap, often Chinese-made devices for the Italian market. In 2013, a fire broke out in the computer factory. Large numbers of phones were stored there, triggering a massive battery fire that destroyed significant portions of the facility. This dramatic fire wiped out what was once Olivetti's crown jewel. The place where the future of European computing could have unfolded. Ultimately, what may have caused Olivetti's downfall was the environment in which it operated. The right people with the right intentions existed in a landscape that wasn't interested in or open to high-tech, unproven technology. One can only dream of what might have been if things had turned out differently. Italy might have been the world's technology hub instead of Silicon Valley.